get going. Awesome. So far we have 7 guests with us. We have Anne, Ash, Ashley, Barbara, Chandler, Heather, and Lily are all here with us so far. So I'm sure we'll be getting lots more, and I'll try to welcome everyone as they come in. And no one's face except for myself and Caleb and Shawna are on the screen. And so you don't have to worry about any anonymity. So we don't have to worry about that. And if when you submit questions, if you do not want to have your name attached, there's an option for that as well, to be anonymous. Okay, we're going to get started. So excited. Thank you all for being here. I truly appreciate the time that you take out of your lives to try to understand other people and become better people yourselves. And I just really appreciate that you've chosen to spend that time with us. It's awesome. This is being hosted by the Pride and Joy Foundation, which is our nonprofit, which is dedicated to decreasing the rate of suicide and homelessness within the LGBTQ community, and especially for reaching out to the allies that love them, but don't know how to show as much as support as they feel for their LGBTQ loved ones. So that's why we're here. And my name is Elena Joy. I'm the founder of the nonprofit of the foundation. And I love hosting these conversations. My own background is that I joined the Mormon church when I was 16 and got married at age 20. And at age 37, realized, yeah, I'm totally a lesbian. But I had been married 17 years at that point with 4 kids and started down the path of trying to fix myself with conversion therapy. That didn't go so well. Shocker, it wasn't successful. And so now I've come out on the other side with this incredible experience of doing a lot of public speaking, as well as starting this foundation. And it's been incredible because of the people that I've met and that I've been able to create a platform that shares their stories, which gives incredible hope and help and assistance to others that are on the same journey. So we are so excited to be here tonight. We are with Caleb and Shawna. Shawna's his mom, not his big sister, you guys. So Caleb and Shawna are here, and I found these two because I stumbled onto a post of Shawna's where she was laying down the law with her community. Her son had come out, and she was letting everyone know exactly where she stood on that. And if people weren't going to be okay with that, she didn't really care. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, woman, we got to get you into these conversations because other parents need to know, what is this like? And other kids need to know, what is this like? Because that's the only way we're all going to be on the same page with each other is when we expose ourselves to each other, we experience things together, and we educate each other about our different value systems. So here we are. We are going to start with Caleb. I've asked Caleb if he'll kind of tell us the story of discovering himself, discovering his role in his community, and then kind of deciding where he wanted to move forward with that. We'll take it up to that point up until he's ready to come out to his mom. And then we're going to get Shawna's perspective. What was her journey like during that same time? What was she discovering within herself, within her family, within her community? So we'll take it up to that point, and then we will talk about the actual coming out, right? As if it's a one and done thing, because it's really not. It's like a daily thing. Like sometimes hourly. Yeah. Yeah. And we do have a Q&A option at the bottom of your screen. So please, if you have any questions as we're going through this, feel free to submit questions. And we are going to go only about 40 minutes, and then we'll start answering those questions, and we'll take it up to the hour at that point. All right. So Caleb, if you want to speak up nice and loud and just kind of tell us about where things kind of started for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always kind of known that I was bisexual. I remember in preschool, I had a crush on one of my male friends. And I felt like it was something weird. I felt abnormal because I would always see men and women together, and the social norms, as we all know, is men are supposed to be with women, and any other way is not normal. It's not right. So for many, many years, I kind of hid it. Nobody knew. People that were closest to me had no clue. At least I tried. But I had always been asked and confronted and a lot of the time bullied for my sexuality.
So if I may interrupt, like you started to know something was different like when you were 4.
Yeah.
So, and then you say like you got to a point where you were experiencing consequences from other people's perception of you. When would you say that started? Is that like 10, 11, 15?
I would say it started in about 4th, 5th grade, somewhere around there.
So we're talking like 9 and 10.
Somewhere around there, definitely. I remember I had my little elementary school girlfriend, and her mom ended up saying, "I don't want you with him because he's gay."
I don't know about that.
Whoopsies. And from then on, it was a lot of bullying and a lot of harassment and things like that because of my supposed sexuality. Which at that point I wasn't comfortable coming out and admitting the truth. As of now, I'm comfortable saying, no, I am not gay. I am not 100%, but definitely into girls just as much as I'm into guys. So I know for a fact that I'm not gay. But yes, I am bi, and I've finally come to a point in my life where I'm comfortable with saying it.
Wow. What were some key things that made you feel safe enough to say it to yourself? Because I know we start off having to come out to ourselves. Mm-hmm. And then we come out to the closest people, right? And then the farthest people. So do you remember, was there a struggle to come out to yourself and to kind of own that? Or were you trying to play a role for a while?
Honestly, a little bit of both.
Yeah.
For a very long time there, I was self-loathing and things like that because I felt like I wasn't normal. I felt like there was something wrong with me. And after many suicide attempts and things like that, I finally came to a point in my life where I was okay with it. After a long road, uphill battle with a lot of people, I finally came to a point in my life where I was like, at the end of the day, I am who I am. Mm-hmm. God made me this way for a reason. And I don't believe that God would make mistakes or that God would disown any of his children because of how he made them.
Right.
Amen.
It's an incredible logic, isn't it? Like, yeah. But he made me this way, so I know he loves me, right? Yeah. Like, yeah, when I think about it from a mom's perspective, like no mom would say you're anything less than perfect. You're perfect. And I'm like an earthly, pathetic human mom. Like, right? Like, I just think any heavenly parent is going to, yes, totally embrace. I'm really glad you got to that point. Did you have anyone in your community that kind of was a few steps ahead of you in the journey? You know what I mean? Did you have anyone to look to as to how that journey looked like?
No, not really. For a very long time there, I was on my own. I didn't really have anybody to look up to that was out and comfortable for themselves, things like that, until finally I had a few weeks before I came out, I had a friend that came out as well, and him and I were polar opposites. He was the big jock, the football player, the everything, and he came out and said, I'm bi and I don't care what you guys have to say about it because at the end of the day it's me. So I figured if somebody that I have been trying to be for such a long time can do it, why can't I?
Holy cow. Is he older than you?
Yeah.
Okay, can we clarify? I don't want you to say where you live, but the Murdochs live in a rural, these are not big cities. This is pretty rural, I wouldn't even classify it as suburban, maybe suburban. You guys have like city buses, so I'm going to call it suburban, but okay. So to think about,
yeah, I don't know about any city buses.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe Pocatello.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Not here.
Not there. Okay. So when you tell me that like the quintessential jock of the high school like comes out as bi and he's just going to own it. I mean, let's think about it. 5 to 10% of the population, and that's the most conservative number, is on the LGBTQ spectrum. So like how many is in your high school? Do you have any idea?
Probably around 1,000.
Okay, good. I love round numbers. So we're at 1,000 kids. If 10% of them are LGBTQ, that's at least 100, at least, right?
But the question is, how many are out?
Thank you. Thank you. And that's where we get to with the administration, is that we can go to the administration. We say, science tells us that there are at least 100 kids in your school that are LGBTQ, right? And so, and if only 2 or 3 or 10 are out, that's a problem. That's how we know there's a struggle happening. Yeah. How many kids in those 1,000 would you guess are out?
Honestly, around 20. To be honest.
Well, that's 20 more than in my high school. But my high school was 20 years ago. So I'm really glad to hear that, actually. That's good for your area, for sure. Okay, so you did have someone kind of guiding the way. Did you have any specific experiences where someone was vulnerable with their sexuality? It went not great for them. It was kind of a negative experience, and that kind of informed you.
100%. In middle school, there was obviously the Hope Squad and things like that. And
I don't know what that is. Sorry.
Hope Squad is the suicide awareness. Like, it's like a group.
Oh.
So you can go to them if you're having problems with suicidal ideation, things like that. And it's just an ally, a friend. So it's just a group of kids that come together, and they've got all the cool hoodies and everything. And if I'm having trouble with myself, they're a friend. I can go and talk to them.
Okay. And so were there anyone like that kind of came out maybe in the community, did not really support them or embrace them?
Definitely. In my middle school and high school, not necessarily much in high school, but definitely in middle school, there were groups. It was very cliquish.
Yeah.
So there was the lesbian group, there was the gay group, there was all these different groups. And I noticed how a lot of the LGBTQ plus groups would take a lot of backlash for it, even though they were comfortable with themselves, they were vulnerable with themselves, and people didn't respect that.
Sorry, I'm still wrapping my brain around the fact that there's LGBT groups in middle school.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. My area, there is not, because my area, our school district just doesn't acknowledge sex. Like, it doesn't exist. And so that's of the parents doing, right? And so it's a kibosh. There's no GSAs. There's no, yeah. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay. All right. So just to wrap that up, who was the first person outside of yourself that you came out to? Was it mom, or were there others first?
I'd always hinted to mom. I would always drop hints, but I was never 100% comfortable saying, hey, I'm bi. It felt like a bad word to me.
Mom, later I'm going to ask you what some of those hints were. Do you feel like she pick up on them?
100%.
Yeah.
It always remind me, I want you to know I love you no matter what.
Got it. So I am so affirmative of that, because there are so many kids that tell the same story. Like, I was dropping breadcrumbs to see what kind of reactions I was going to get. A lot of kids will bring up their friends. Oh, so-and-so mom came out, and they're looking and watching. Like, how are you going to respond to that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, even if there's like a slow blink, like, they totally take that in. Yes. Awesome. Thank you, Caleb, so much. I really appreciate that. So Shawna, tell me a little bit, where in your kids is Caleb?
He's the youngest of 5.
Oh.
He's the baby.
He knows it and he loves it. Yeah.
And the favorite.
I tell all my kids they're the favorite.
There you
But I'm
go.
the favorite is.
So does Caleb have any siblings that are out or no?
No.
Okay. And are there any like aunts, uncles? Like, is there anyone like, oh, the family has this friend who's really integrated into the family and we've always had this interaction? No. Yeah. Same story over here. When I came out, I knew no lesbians. None. Yeah. Okay. So here we are, like kind of, it's funny because I think of the term closeted. Like it's almost like you have a bubble on you because you don't see the rest of the world. Like you've never interacted very much with anyone LGBTQ.
Yeah.
All right. So you take over the story, Shawna.
Well, we would need to go all the way back to when Caleb was kind of figuring things out. I would say that I started to get an inkling when he was about 3 or 4.
Wow.
You got to understand what was going on around that time was Prop 8. So this was something that was kind of hard. It was really hard for me, you know, being of the LDS faith and wanting to support the traditional family. And, you know, the church had their stance about gay marriage. But at the same time, looking at this little boy going, this could be a possibility as he gets older. And I'm a constitutionalist. I'm all about rights. Everybody has their right to be who they are. And I shouldn't be enforcing my will on somebody else. That's not okay. And so I was conflicted because I'm trying to be a faithful member, but it takes some serious mental gymnastics to come to terms with all that, because this is my kid and he was born this way.
Mm-hmm.
No 3-year-old on the face of this planet chooses their sexuality. It's not possible. Not 3, 4, 5. It's not. No. And
but wasn't he surrounded by gay people? Like it's caused by nurture, right? Like it's caused by the environment. No.
So, I mean, I remember around 5, it had just been weighing on my mind, and I had about 3 nights. I am an insomniac. I can't sleep a lot. I start worrying about something and my brain is ridiculous and I won't stop thinking about it. And it had been about 3 nights and I hadn't slept, and I was just thinking about Caleb and what does this mean for him? You know, what's this going to do? What's his life going to look like? What is this going to mean in the church? What is this going to mean in our family? Just really, really fretting about this. And I just had this amazing calm just come over me and wash over me. And it was an answer because my Heavenly Father told me right then and there, stop worrying. He's going to be fine. He is perfect. There's no shame. I made him this way. Nothing needs to change. And so
You're gonna make me cry. Gosh.
It was a really cool experience. And so as he grew, you know, I remember my husband, he was born and raised here in the Mormon bubble, and I love him to pieces. And I remember around that time I had talked to my husband and I just said, you know, kind of feeling him out, like how Caleb was dropping breadcrumbs. I was dropping breadcrumbs, trying to feel out how my husband was going to feel about it. And I just kind of looked at him and I said, you know, what would you do if one of our kids was gay? And he, oh, well, I don't agree with that. And I said, that's fine. That doesn't change the fact that our kid is gay, though. So what would happen? And I remember he was, you know, trying to, like, it hadn't crossed his mind. And so he was kind of like, well, and I'm like, so you would reject our kid? And he said, no, I wouldn't do that. But their partner, you know, no, their partner would not be able to come into our home. And then I got mad Okay, you kind of got the gist of how my personality is by that post that you read, whichever post it was. I don't know which one it was. And I got
Our posts are so controversial. I love them.
Well, I try not to be, but crap. But I got a little hot. And I said, you know, Dan, you said something in that sentence that we need to go back to. And he said, what's that? And I said, our house. It's not just your call. It's my call too. And now I'm mad, and we need to just talk this over another time when I'm not mad, because I'm going to say something that isn't fair. And so, and I think that kind of set the thought process for Dan, you know, and as Caleb grew, I mean, as he got older, his older siblings would make comments and different things, and I would just tell them, like, they would just. I remember my oldest son saying something along the lines of, you know, would he just come out? And I'm like, he's 8. Leave him alone. Let him figure it out. Leave him alone, you know? So they think, and he thinks that he's my favorite. It's just that
She missed the word no in there, but it's okay.
It's just that I have felt protective of him.
Yeah.
You know, because I watched as kids can be brutal, and not just kids, adults.
Thank you. Thank you.
That is not okay. And I just watched these kids. That's probably why he didn't tell me that his little girlfriend's mom said that, because he knows. I'd be like, oh, no, you didn't. You just can't do that. That is not okay.
You guys haven't seen Psycho Shawna yet.
Yeah, I call it ghetto Shawna. And she gets unleashed once in a while. And so he won't even let me fly like a rainbow flag or anything. He doesn't want that. And I asked him one time why, and he was like, Mom, we all know you're an ally. It's okay. And I think it was like, take it down a notch. Maybe I'm a little too intense. I don't know. But I am what I am. But as he's grown up, I can tell you I have really, really struggled with the stance in the church with LGBT, because I know he was born this way. Yeah. And God doesn't make mistakes. This was not a choice. So, you know, what's wrong with that? Oh, I love it too. So
yes. I do have to pose the question, answer however you want. He turned 8 and you knew. His older siblings knew. His community knew. Everyone knew, even though we weren't talking about it. But then he turned 8. And so the expectation is that he gets baptized. And what was going through your brain at that point?
He was looking forward to baptism. He wanted to be baptized. Caleb has always had, at least growing up, he had a very close relationship with his Heavenly Father. He was very spiritual. And that was very important to him, support him 100%.
Yeah.
And so, and you know, I still do whatever he wants. I will be right by his side on that, as long as it's healthy.
Yeah.
We're not doing anything too crazy. I'm still mom.
You're still mom?
Be your best friend. No, I'm mom.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Did you have, knowing for so long, did you have anyone in your community that you were like, oh, there's the mom of another LGBTQ kid and this is how she's handling it?
Not at that time. I remember we were in Pizza Hut one time. I don't know if you were with us. I can't remember. But there was a lesbian couple at a table next to us, and they had a couple of kids, and the kids were kind of acting up and stuff. And I remember the mom looking over and was one of the moms was looking over and was kind of embarrassed. And I was like, trust me, I'm just glad it's not my kid this time.
Right.
So it's all good. You know, and that was kind of my, the only time that I can think of growing up. Gosh, no, not really. I mean, it wasn't okay to come out. Mm-hmm. And so I can't really think of it. I think I had one friend when I was a freshman in high school. I lived in Germany at the time. And I think she was hinting to me that she was, mm-hmm. but she never really officially came out or anything, but
I think that's something that we have to make clear for our audience is that, and especially for you, Caleb, you're going to grow up and you're going to go to college and you're going to meet people from everywhere. And you're going to realize you are one of the few Gen Z kids, your generation, who didn't grow up with lesbians and gay men all around you. Right? Like the fact that your mom, her only exposure to it as a mom, like once she entered that mom role, was a couple in Pizza Hut. Like that says a lot about where you are and what your lifestyle is like. Right. And that's where I am as well. Like we are the token lesbian couple for like a 10-mile radius. Okay. So that's where my kids are as well. They do not know any other LGBTQ couples. And the fact is that's different. Like once you leave that state, all of your peers, they will have known lesbians and gay men for their entire lives, whereas you will have not had that exposure. That's going to be a distinct difference. And I think that's why a lot of people struggle with like, why was this so hard for you? You're like, no, really, we live in a different world than you do.
I remember visiting my biological father when he lived in Utah, and there was a lesbian couple in our neighborhood. And I remember looking up to them, thinking so highly of them, with so much respect for them for just being who they truly were and not caring what the world, what societal standards, anything like that had to say about it. And I remember constantly bringing that up to my mom, saying how much I love them, how much I love their kids, how much I respect them. And they also had a hot niece, so.
Oh my gosh, Caleb.
The charm. So I do want to ask Shawna, like, as he was dropping breadcrumbs, like, were you trying to decide how you felt about it? Or were you just like, there's just one answer? I figured it out when you were 5 during 3 sleepless nights, and there's only one answer.
For me, it was just that one answer. I watched this kid. He suffers from anxiety and depression, and I watched him just on a very, very difficult path trying to love himself, and he did not love himself. He was extremely self-loathing and self-harming. And so for me, it was being very, very careful about what I said. It wasn't, I still love you. I hate that. I hate that. It is.
Say it again.
It is not, I still love you despite, no, I love you. And that's it. That's it. There's nothing else that needs to be said. And so I would try to constantly remind him how awesome he is and how amazing. I mean, this kid, I'm serious. When I was 15, if we were to take 15-year-old Shawna next to 15-year-old Caleb, he is like a much better person than me.
Yeah. Same with my kids.
You got those looks from me. So anyway, he's just a really, really good person. He's always been that way. He's got a very, very sweet, kind, compassionate side, which is part of the reason why when at 3 years old, I started to wonder some things, because he was far more in tune with people's emotions and with things like that aren't typical of my other boys that, oh my gosh, why is everything a sword? You know, they were just rough, tumble all the time. What the heck is going on? Why did you do that? And Caleb has always been far more just imaginative, sensitive, and I love that about him. And I want him to love himself. And, you know, I've got a really good friend of mine that, now that I think about it, she was married. Her husband is gay, and he tried to fake it. He tried, and they had children. They had this family, and it tore everybody apart, and it hurt them. And that was my thought was, I don't want Caleb to go through that. I want him to be who he is, because I don't want any little broken hearts down the road.
No.
Just be who you are, love yourself, move on. And if people can't, what's that saying I always say? Not everybody's going to like you, but not everybody has good taste. Pretty much. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
TikToks.
Is it?
shout me out on TikTok.
So anyway, I just I want him to love himself, and he was not loving himself, and he was just extremely self-loathing, and it just tore my heart apart to watch him go through that.
Help me know the timeline. Like, I know that feeling of watching your kid like disappear into that pit of self-loathing. And then eventually he has come out of it. I mean, you can tell looking at him, he's got light in his eyes, like he's come out of it. And that doesn't mean there's not more pits in your future. Like, obviously we all have them, but that experience of watching him descend into that pit, what part, because we all know it's when you truly own yourself that you can come out of that pit, right? When you can truly embrace yourself. So did he have to be public with his family, with his community in order to embrace himself? Or is that order flip-flopped? Did he embrace himself and then he was able to come out and be public?
For me, it was, I'm very people-pleasing. I'm a people-pleaser. So before I was able to accept myself, I wanted to let other people know. And if they accepted me, I could accept myself. If they didn't accept me, then I couldn't accept myself, kind of thing.
And that breaks my heart right there. No, it shouldn't be dependent on anybody else. You can't live life that way.
The external validation is a real big deal. There's no doubt. And I feel like, to point out why that is, when LGBTQ people are the only marginalized population in our society that are born to parents that are not also part of the same marginalized population. So Black kids and American Indian kids can be born into families that have parents that get it on a level that no one else does. And so they belong because it's the same struggle. But when you know from the time that you're 3 that you're different from everyone else in your family, including your parents, then it's like you need this constant validation of, who am I? Do I belong? Do I belong? And can I accept this about myself? Because it means I might get kicked out of the tribe. And that is something we all try to, but then sometimes we kick ourselves out of the tribe, and it's awesome.
Trust me, I know.
Okay, so
willing to just accept yourself and not care what everybody else thinks is one of the best feelings in the world.
And he's not allowed to leave my tribe. I won't let him. I love him.
It's our tribe.
Wow. So tell us that time. Tell us about coming out, basically, because that's what our kids need to hear.
You on my side or her side?
Your side.
My side.
Caleb's side.
Get ready, guys. We're about to dive right in.
Oh, someone asked specifically if you cried when you told your mom and dad.
Did I? I think I teared up a little bit.
I don't really remember. I think I would remember. Maybe you teared up a little bit, but you weren't crying.
Yeah.
I would remember if you were crying.
I kind of blindsided my mom a little bit.
Yeah.
It's an interesting coming out story. I came out on Snapchat first.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing, but I am.
Legit Z coming out story with a supportive mom over here who's always said, I love you, I love you, I love you. I will always be here. The last to know. Thank you.
My thing is, I didn't want to disappoint her. And I felt like at that time when I was coming out, I felt like I was losing everybody in my life. I felt like I wasn't important. I wasn't necessary. And I felt that me coming out was gonna everybody was gonna drop me. Nobody was gonna care anymore. I was irrelevant. So when I came out, I was at such a low point where I was willing to just be 100% alone because I had already felt like I was 100% alone. And the last person that I wanted to disappoint was the mom who had always been there for me.
Yeah. had you come out to someone and they had been disappointed, or was it just an assumption? It's different, and so they'll be disappointed.
100%. I had people that were best friends with me that would spend the night at my house all the time, that were guys, would say things like, it's different now that you're bi. And to me, that hurt really bad, because I'm like, it's different for you. But for me, I've known this my whole life. The only thing that's different is you know about it now. So foreshadowing it and looking back, I'm able to say, if it's different, whose issue is that?
Yeah.
Because honestly, if you really think that there's a difference between you and I because I'm bi and you're straight, that's your issue.
Yeah, it is.
But on the other hand, too, I try to see all sides of it. It's a lot. I mean, I had 12 years to work on this and to figure this out. If you have another 15-year-old kid, they've had 12 seconds to figure this out, and they don't have the emotional maturity yet. So they're going to learn and grow, and it's okay. No hate, no shade on anybody.
Throw shade, Mom.
No.
Throw it like it's funny.
No, I think that everybody needs to. Everybody's gonna learn and grow on their own pace. Just the only thing that I expect, not even that I'm requesting, I expect, is basic respect.
Yeah,
that's it. And if you can't be respectful, Ghetto Shawna comes out to play, and it's not pretty. And I don't want her to come out.
And that's when innocent Caleb goes to hibernate.
No, I try really hard.
Wasn't me.
I try really hard to I try really hard to stay out of it. This is Caleb's journey. I can't do it for him. But I have had many, many, many moments of watching my son curled up in the fetal position, wanting to die. And there's only so much as a mom you can take before you just feel like tearing people apart. I mean, there are some very, very mean people in this world, and I have seen some of the cruelest things directed at my son that I just takes everything I can as a mom to try and remain as level-headed as possible and not go to jail. So yeah, I want to protect my kids, all of my kids. My kids are amazing. Well, all kids are amazing, but I'm a little biased. Mine are especially amazing. So,
yeah. So that is a struggle that a lot of parents have when they first are aware, whether it's they've been blindsided or not. That's going to be a hard path. That is a hard life. And it is still, it's gotten a lot better than the 50s. Yes, we can all agree on that. And yet it is still a very hard life for someone in America who is queer. That is reality. And so that is the point where many parents say, can I fix it? Can I fix this somehow? Because I don't want my kid to have to live a hard life. And that is, I can see where that comes from, a place of love. Right? Like if our kid was handicapped and there was a surgery that would take care of it, we'd do the surgery, right? So, but this is different. This is different. Did it ever cross your mind to think maybe we can fix this?
No.
Did it cross your husband's mind?
Don't know. He and I haven't talked about that.
Daniel.
I don't think so. His journey is actually really interesting. But I think that anytime, if that did cross my mind, which I don't really think that it did that often, because I know when he was 5 and I had that feeling come over me, I was told he's fine. He's the way God made him. Nothing, no shame, nothing needs to be changed. Nothing needs to be fixed. He's not broken. And so that laid that to rest for me. I didn't need to worry about it anymore. And then then as the years have gone by, it's just more of, you know, you need to love yourself. You know, don't talk about yourself like that.
Yeah.
You know, and love yourself. And there was like, over the last year, I could tell like his self-loathing was getting worse and worse. And I suspected why, you know, and so I would just ask him straight out, are you curious? I didn't know how to put it. I'm like, are you curious about boys?
That is cute.
And she was. And so I would just ask him straight out, and he would just be like, and at first it was denying, like he was like, and I was like, you know, that it's okay. And you're fine. I love you. You're amazing always. And it's not that I still love you. I don't like that, but I love you. And nothing will ever change that. And so just trying to like, I just kind of like, I guess that was where I was trying to fix it, was I felt like if he could accept and love himself, then a lot of the self-loathing and the self-harm would hopefully subside. And that's what I wanted. So over the last year, probably, you were like 14 then, I just would ask him straight out, and it was always in the car because he couldn't escape.
You're mean.
And so we had to do a lot of driving for his performances because he sings and stuff. And so, you know, I would just like, he was trapped. And so he had to talk to me. And so I would just ask him straight out. And I can tell you that my husband and I are certified family home. So we care for disabled adults in our home, one of which is our son that we adopted a couple of years ago. And with that, we've hired various individuals to come and work with us and help us with our guys. One of which, or two of which, are a lesbian couple, Savannah and Lily. I love you both. And they have been extremely helpful for me.
Really?
Yeah, I've talked to them a lot. And Lily grew up LDS. And so just trying to get her perspective. And Savannah is a lot, her personality is very similar to mine, to where she's like, all right, who did that? Where they live?
Yes.
What's their name? Show me a picture. Love that about her. And so, and she's from California, so a lot of this stuff, she's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
This is what?
Yeah.
You know? So that's interesting. And then one of our other employees, she's bisexual. Our other employee, she's an active LDS mom that has LGBTQ kids. And so I just, over the last 6 months, or no, since January, you know, tried to, you know, it just worked out that way. It wasn't, I didn't purposely.
Oh, it worked out that way for a reason.
But it just worked out that way. And it has been so healing for me and really helpful for me as a mom, like just to get that perspective, you know. Lily is my age. And so for her to come out, you know, was really, really hard. And so I'm just surrounded by amazing women that I admire and I draw strength and knowledge from, because I already told them I'm going to mess up. I'm going to say the wrong things. I don't know.
Right.
It's not like there was a manual for this.
No.
Right one.
A manual?
Being bisexual 101.
Being ghetto Shawna 102.
Funny. Yes, I think that's one of it's literally the reason I started the Pride and Joy Foundation, was to get that online support group where moms of queer kids could turn to functional, healthy, queer adults and say, how do I not screw this up?
Yeah.
You know, and those queer adults can be like, I got you. This is good. But I don't know how to raise a baby. So how do I deal with diaper rash? Right. So we've got those awesome connections that can happen. And it's the biggest thing I try to counsel parents of kids who have recently come out to do, is to intentionally seek out people, bring them into your life, get to know them, see their happiness, see their healthiness, see their dysfunction. Like, we're all human, right? And trying to find that. We do have a question, and I want to word it the correct way, so I'm going to read it. What advice would you give parents who are waiting for their child to come out?
Just to be patient, and they need to come out and on their own terms. And that's why I kind of laid down the hammer with my older kids when Caleb was younger, because I was like, he is too young. I don't want anybody pushing him either way. Yeah. You know, I want him to figure this out on his own. And so just be patient, be affirming. Like, I was constantly telling Caleb, you are awesome. I mean, I'm serious though. He really is awesome. I mean, he is. I mean, one of the things recently, we've got COVID going on. I saw this post of a mom whose daughter was turning 13, I think, Gabby, and she's autistic. With COVID, she wanted to know if people would just drive by, drop off a card, honk, whatever. And I asked if her daughter likes singing, because our son's autistic and don't do that. That's no, he doesn't like that. Well, her daughter loves it. And so I didn't even have to twist his arm. I just said, hey, there's this girl in our community. Would you go and sing a song to her for her birthday? Oh, yeah, definitely. I wouldn't have done that at 15. Yeah. I'm still not that nice. I'm just not that nice of big skilled.
Love you.
I'm just, he is just kind. And so the way that I did it with Caleb was just to constantly reaffirm to him, you're amazing. You are loved. No matter what. Mm-hmm. Let him take and he might have chosen to never come out. I don't know. It would have been, it's totally his choice.
It's such a burden. It's such a burden.
Yeah. Stay in the closet.
Staying in the closet and trying to keep it hidden. It's such a burden. I promise you, for anybody out there who is scared, who is in the closet, afraid that they won't be accepted, no matter what happens, there is a light at the end of that tunnel. That closet door does open. It's your choice.
Yeah.
And if you maybe your mom isn't as understanding yet as you need, I can be a surrogate mom. Mm-hmm. Reach out to me and have your mom reach out to me too, and I can talk to her. I understand those mama fears.
Yeah.
It is scary.
Yeah. And they're based in love, but it's so hard to feel that on the other side. Caleb, were there any, as she was waiting for you to come out, were there any specific words or specific actions that she took that did kind of sink in, that did make you feel a little safer?
I remember, honestly, just her always reminding me that she loves me.
Yeah.
With her asking, are you curious? Are you this? Are you that?
I don't know if that's even the term.
But honestly, it was for me, it was uncomfortable. It was awkward. I didn't want to talk about it, but I knew if and when I decide that I'm going to be 100% transparent, 100% open, I have a friend.
Good. So then it really became an individual journey for when you were willing to step into that, and with which community you were willing to do that. 100%. Got it. Caleb, we know that there's bullying before we come out and there's bullying after we come out. Did anything specifically change? Right? Like, was there any bully? Was there more? Was there less? Was it worse? Was it from someone you didn't even expect? You know what I mean?
I remember there was this one old friend group of mine, and it turned toxic, so I wasn't friends with them anymore. Our friendship ended, and they had always bullied me for being gay, calling me unspeakable names, spreading disgusting rumors. And they had the gall to say to my mom after I came out that she owes them an apology because I actually am bi.
I don't understand. My brain broke at that. Shawna, can you explain it another way?
Basically, I have no problem speaking up. I will call parents. I will, confront you myself. I don't care. It will stop. The bullying will stop. You can either choose to make it stop or I'll make it stop for you. And so because I had really cracked down on several boys that were doing some pretty horrible bullying. Once he came out, they literally went on YOLO, which I don't like Snapchat. I really don't. I think it's dangerous, but whatever. I'm a realist. I know that he's going to do it, so I have to go along with it. But YOLO is an anonymous thing where people can slide up and anonymously say whatever. And so it was slid up that your mom owes me an apology. And so Caleb was in the car at the time. He was driving and we had parked. And I was like, owe them apology for what? I think that, didn't they say something like because you are gay or something like that? So he did a video back of me going, there will never be an apology. And I don't need YOLO and I don't need to hide. I will tell you myself, there will never, ever be an apology from me for standing up for my child. The problem wasn't that you were calling him gay. The problem was you were tearing him down.
That's right. That's right. And the fact that you don't know the difference says way more about you than anything else.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. We do have a question from someone who wanted to remain anonymous. And I'm going to answer this and then I invite you to as well. Did you lose any friends at all when you came out? And another question from Anne was, have you lost more friends or gained more by coming out? And this is a trend in the questions. So anyone who's asking these questions, and I know where it comes from, like, because you're weighing it, right? Pros and cons. Okay, Caleb says that if I come out, it's going to feel better. But also, what am I risking over here? And so I understand that we ask others, right? What did you risk? What did you actually lose? And unfortunately, the answer is different for everyone because, damn, I had no idea who was going to stay in my life and who was going to choose to leave. You can't predict that. And that sucks. And I think that that's one of the biggest things that I teach when I'm teaching ally classes, like how to be a great ally, is make it clear to the people who haven't come out to you yet that they're not risking losing you.
Yeah.
And whether that's wearing a rainbow pin on your backpack or whatever that is, right? Like the biggest way you can be an ally is to solidify yourself in everyone's life, that it's not conditional. Your friendship is not conditional. Because I couldn't have predicted who I would have kept and who I would have lost. I couldn't have told you like, okay, I'm going to come out next week and so-and-so and so-and-so aren't going to call me anymore, but so-and-so is going to be a really good friend. Like, no, people I had known 20 years, people I had known 30 years, the friendship is gone. But then incredible, amazing people come into my life that would have never come into my life otherwise. So that's my answer to that question. Caleb, what do you think about that?
I 100% agree with you. People that I have known my whole life, people that I thought would never leave me for something so stupid, something so immature. For me being me is something that you're going to leave my life for. People will surprise you no matter what. And people that I always thought were homophobic or that would never accept me have surprised me. And I have gained so much respect because I'm like, I'm being me. Like, I'm finally me. Like, do you know how long it's been since I've been able to say and been able to show a real smile and have good intentions behind it and not have to fake it? Like, and I respect that so much, that people are that strong, or that people respect me for being me. Like, the respect is mutual. So yes, I did lose friends, but losing friends is a necessary step to gaining friends.
Gaining real friends.
Gaining real friends. Because would you rather have 100 toxic friends or 10 real friends that you know you can trust with anything?
Yeah. Yes. Shawna, what would your answer be to that question? Did you lose friends? Did you gain friends?
I gained friends, and I am a very interesting personality. Like, if they don't want to be my friend anymore, then they weren't my friend to begin with. And it's not any loss for me. I count very, very few people as my friends. My friend circle is very small. I learned very young that I like to know who my real friends are. Everybody else is kind of acquaintances. But these are my real friends. And so I'm really blessed. All my real friends remained my real friends, and people that were acquaintances, I didn't realize they were my real friends too. So my circle got a little bit bigger. And I've only had to unfriend 2 people.
That's way better than a lot of others. So I'm really happy to hear that.
Me, so good.
We're good. Yeah. Caleb, if you were to do the coming out process over again, would you go on Snapchat?
You caught me off guard with that one. If I were to do it over again, I would 100% tell my mom first.
Good answer. Yeah. I would have been there. I found out after the fact. Like, he went and did this on Snapchat, and then like hours later, maybe the next day, couple days later. Oh my gosh, I don't know how much later it was.
I was scared, okay?
He came and told me after the fact, and but he just did it on his friend, like his page, like with just his friends. And I was kind of like, okay, did you not want to talk? And I wanted to say, did you not want to talk this out first? But it was too late. He'd already done it. Now I don't know how long ago he had done it. And it was fine. I mean, it's his journey. It's his thing. And so
I want to see if I saved it.
I support him on however he needed to do it. I just wished that after all of the affirming and the I love you and you're awesome, I wasn't even part of it. I was an afterthought, and that's rude.
Caleb, honey, you're never going to live that down. Oh. Therefore, let me just tell you now, when it's time for you to propose to whoever you want to propose to, you tell your mama first.
Okay, I'll do it on Snapchat first.
What is wrong with
you? Hey guys, I'm proposing tomorrow.
He blocks me. What the heck is that?
That's really amazing. I'm just going to check through here. I don't think we have any questions we haven't answered. And we did have someone say, this isn't a question, but thank you, Caleb, for giving me confidence to tell my friends and family.
Aww.
Yeah. There is a saying in our community, visibility is life. That when we choose to be visible, we are giving life to ourselves and to others that need it.
I have my own personal saying, my worth doesn't depend on how you treat me.
Yeah.
So if people are willing to look down on you or treat you as less than because you are being your true, authentic self, that is their issue.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Do you feel like you have the community that you want
100%.
Now at the end of it?
100%.
Except for he wants to leave Idaho.
100%.
And he has to wait until he is grown. Cannot go yet.
diversity. I love.
Yeah, it's not very diverse here in Idaho, but
I'm getting kind of sick and tired of the tall, white, pasty Mormons. Like, I'm sorry. It's all it is here.
Yes, it is.
Okay, whatever.
We literally today we went to do brunch at a place that's just 30 minutes west of us. So, and the restaurant was filled with people of color. And I was like, oh, yeah, they're here too. Because in my area, which is just 30 minutes away, any restaurant you walk into, there's no one of color. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Diversity is intense. Yes. Last question. Do you have anyone? It can be a fictional character. It can be a celebrity. It can be someone in your day-to-day life. Do you have anyone that you're like, I jive on that? Like who that person, how that person is living their queer life. I jive on that. That's cool.
Queer life? No, I wouldn't say, but confidence-wise, Cardi B all the way.
Ooh. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. I love it. Thank you, Cardi B, wherever you are. That's amazing. Thank you everyone for coming. I'm so glad we were able to do this. This is going to live on. It's going to be absolutely incredible to see how this is going to affect lives. We are going to have the replay ready within a week. It'll be emailed to everyone who is registered here so that you'll be able to access this whenever you want, as well as we do a transcript and put it on our blog. So if you don't want to watch the video, you can read through the transcript. Thank you so much for coming. If this has been helpful and you feel so moved, we would totally appreciate any donations at prideandjoyfoundation.com. There is a donation button at the top. Oh, we got merch. We got swag.
You know it.
You know it. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for being here. This was incredible. And thank you, Caleb and Shawna.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it.